Where was I? Ah, yes. He walked over, pulled the blanket back up to her shoulders, kissing each one as he did. Then kissing her on the head and cheek, he whispered, "My ocean, my river," she mumbled back and smiled, not really awake, but answering from her dreams. He grabbed his cup from the window seat and went to the kitchen for a refill. He glanced over. He glanced over at the kitchen counter. There was his old canvas book bag crammed full of papers, notes, typed papers, and journals. It was his first bag he had at college. Over the years, it grew into his shit I need to finish but hurts too much to do it. So I am just going to hide it in here bag. That was where Songs from the Hourglass had rested for the last year. He had tucked it away inside an old cedar chest along with his great-grandmother's incredibly heavy and comfortable hand-knitted quilt. I remember that quilt. She must have pulled the bag out when she grabbed Songs from the Hourglass, but forgot to bring it up. He could picture her trying to carry the glasses, bottle of wine, the book, and the bag. Opting for the glasses and the wine, she probably put the bag on the counter, thinking she would come back and get it. He debated whether he should put the bag back in the closet where it was, or take it upstairs. Knowing she would just go get the book bag and ask him what was it, he decided to cut out the middleman and take the bag to the studio. He was asleep. He was asleep on the floor when he felt a gentle hand caressing his cheek, and he opened his eyes to see her sitting next to him, smiling. "Hey," she whispered as she kissed his lips. "Hey back," he replied and wrapped his arms around her. "You have been busy," she said, falling onto his chest and looking at the piles of papers. "Sorry, I meant to come back to bed. Guess I didn't make it." It's starting to rain. She grabbed the stack of papers closest to her. Maybe a good day to start a fire and sit around and read. Write and snuggle, huh? He kissed her on the head, nose, lips, then put his head on hers. "We can do that." "Boy stories?" she asked, sitting up and grabbing the first stack of papers she could reach. She looked over at the backpack. "Are these from that bag I grabbed out of the closet?" "Oh, yeah, that," he said with an exasperated sigh. "That would be my blessing and my curse." She waited for him to keep going, but he didn't say anything, just traced his fingers through her hair and stared out the window at the rain. "And?" she asked gently. "I wrote the first boy story my freshman year in college. It basically kick-started my writing career. And for the next 20 years, I have tried to write and finish the boy stories to no avail. They just hurt too much, so I put them away and said I wasn't going to finish it. But somewhere in the back of my mind, it is still there, wanting to be finished. My own personal albatross." She sat up and smiled. "Well, you are just full of surprises, aren't you? Can I read it?" "Well, you pulled it out of the closet," he said with a nervous laugh. "Things happen how they're supposed to happen." She noticed he paused for a second, but then he said, "You had the freedom of the wind, my love. What if you fix breakfast, start the fire, and I start reading?" she asked. "I can do that." He got up and started to head downstairs. "I don't like being in the room when you read my work for the first time anyway. I get too nervous." "Is it in any order? What should I start with first?" she asked, looking at the piles of papers in front of her. He handed her... I'm getting nervous. He handed her one titled Keeper of the Magic. Well, you might as well start with the one that launched their career. I honestly don't have an order for them yet. Well, I have a beginning, but just go there. That is a good place to start. He kissed her again and headed down to the kitchen. She began to read. All right. The next one will begin with Keeper of the Magic. I want to start fresh with that. Hey, 6 minutes. That's not too bad.